Hello, my name is Daryl. I live at the Bryant's Climber in Mountain Village, Colorado. If you want to find out anything about me, you can go on my page where I have a page. The title of my concept here, which is a few years old, is called the Environmental Scouts of America. It's something I've created that's modeled after the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, the Brownies, and the Cub Scouts. Whether this scouting program would be divided, with boys on one side and girls, let's say, on the other side, I don't know. I doubt they would go together in camping trips. Let's just for the day, and then they're coming back home before nightfall, or late that night. But if they're on camping trips, you may have the word boy in it, and you may have the word girl in it. But anyway, Ron, I'm just going to call it the Environmental Scouts of America. And basically, all it is, it's a new organization that has Scouts leaders that teach the kids that join about the environment and how they can protect it, preserve it, and how they can fight in the future on environmental issues. Obviously, the biggest problem here is always, how it's extremism. You do have a lot of extremist groups in America that are some are violent, not a lot of them, but some of them are violent. A lot of them are extreme. They proclaim to be for the environment, peace, love, and all that other stuff, and yet they do nothing but spew hatred out of their mouth every time they say something. My concept of the Environmental Scouts of America is a mainstream organization that teaches kids, girls and boys, about the environment. That's it in a mainstream way. No politics involved. There is no politics in it. There is no attack on, well, this president is bad with the environment, and this president is good with the environment. No, you just stay with the basics. You teach them about the environment. You show them there's so many things that kids can learn on these camping trips. That's where I learned things about the environment within the Boy Scouts on our camping trips, and I enjoyed it. But the scouting was not environmentally directed. In other words, the scouting trips I went on was just more for hiking and learning how to camp out and things like that. And there was just some things on the environment that they would talk to us about. But this here is strictly to teach kids about the environment. So there is a possibility that a lot of these camping trips will not necessarily be overnight. They'll just be in the daytime, and their kids load up in a school bus or somewhere, or chartered bus or whatever, and go out on some field trip like they do in school sometimes. But they'll come back before nightfall. You need a environmental scout book. You're going to need a environmental uniform, which obviously would probably have to be green for the obvious reason, or brown. You would need environmental scouts masters, and so on. Here is how you can start the one in your own community. Right now there are none. I wish I could start one here. The problem here is I don't think I can find mainstream scoutmasters. So it's not going to be possible for me to start one here in Telluride over in Mountain Village, Colorado, because this is in my head is mainstream, because you're dealing with kids here. You do not want to turn them into extremists. You just want to teach them about the environment, and then let them, as they grow as adults, decide for themselves as to what level they want to take things when it comes to the environment. Hopefully it's always in a non-violent level. You get with a bunch of extremist scoutmasters, and that could just completely blow up, and you turn them into damn terrorists. Don't want to do that. That's what hate can do. Whether it's right-wing hate or left-wing hate, it's still hate. Okay. To start one, basically, somehow there needs to be someone that knows how to put an environmental scout book together. That may take some work to do it. You got to put a uniform together. Basically, you just got to change it a little bit from the Boy Scouts, type of uniform, and maybe it says green or brown. And instead of the fact to say Boy Scouts of America, it might say Environmental Scouts of America. And of course, girls and boys, you have to have bylaws. But you could start one right in your own community, and you could be the first in the world, and then 10 years from now, it could be all over the world. And you could have started the first one. Create your own scouting book. Get on the internet, come up with things that you think kids would like to know, get with a few people in your community, and put it together. But remember, it has to be mainstream. These are kids we're talking about here. And a lot of these parents are not going to let their kids join something that's filled with a bunch of extremists. And keep it moral. Have high standards for these Scoutmasters. They ain't going to put up any drinking out there, any dope. You don't want a bunch of freaks like that out there, and you certainly don't want no sex perverts out there either. You have to take a hard look, because they're putting these parents are putting their kids' safety and their lives and their values in their hands. So it has to be like the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. It has to be very high standards applied here. But you can start one right in your own community. It just takes a little bit of work. You don't need anyone's permission. And before long, one day, maybe thousands, tens of thousands, millions of kids worldwide will want to belong to the Environmental Scouts. Here it'd be America, the Environmental Scouts of Bangladesh, Environmental Scouts of England, Environmental Scouts of France, Environmental Scouts of Mexico, Environmental Scouts of Canada. It goes worldwide, and it could start right in your community. You could be the first one. I wish I could start it here, but it's just, I don't have any faith that the people that would help me begin one here would not be too extreme. I do not like extremism. I want these kids to learn, but I want it to be of their own free will, and I want it to be mainstream, and let them, as they grow into adults, decide to what level they want to go on. But by this idea, if we can train and teach millions of kids while their minds are still open about the environment, maybe they can save the environment. Anyway, thank you for your time, and I hope my idea one day becomes a reality, because so far, no national organization, everybody liked the idea, but nobody wants to lend a hand. So maybe you can start it. Thank you.